Hi everyone, it's Jackie here from Manchester. Today's video is about submitting a really good academic appeal. I worked for 18 years in a student advice centre and I've seen so many appeals, and I wanted to share my knowledge with you and hope it'll be useful. We used to sort of get people ringing up the advice centre a lot and just saying that like their marks were borderline or that they weren't happy with a grade. Those types of things didn't come under the scope of academic appeals, so it's about knowing what you can sort of appeal, what the appeal grounds are, what outcome do you want from your appeal. Quite often if your appeal is successful, you've still got to resubmit the work again, but perhaps without a cap. Or if you've run out of reassessment opportunities, it can perhaps give you another reassessment opportunity. So it is worth doing, but I think just understanding exactly what it is you can appeal and understanding the scope of your university's appeal process. Now, I'm really aware that sort of all universities will have slightly different appeal processes and procedures, but broadly speaking, they're all very, very similar. Often there is a particular form to fill in, and quite often there is a deadline. It could be like you need to submit your appeal within 14 days or 21 days, etc. And largely speaking, the two sort of main grounds for appeals with universities tend to be, one is like a material irregularity, and that sort of covers scope where the university are at fault. For example, maybe an exam got stopped or disrupted, or the university have made an error in calculating your sort of grades, things like that. And usually the second ground, which is the most common one usually, is exceptional factors, mitigating circumstances. So I want to talk a little bit more about that and go into a bit more detail. So mitigating circumstances, sort of exceptional factors, covers, wow, such a huge umbrella of things. It could be like an illness, or a family emergency, a death in the family, a crime, you've been burgled, something like that. Personal problems. It doesn't tend to cover, I've got a list, is sort of you've got the days mixed up, you know, you was just running late or you went to the wrong room for the exam, things like that. They're not going to entertain sort of things like that. Now, we used to see this a lot in the advice centre. People would come in and really they didn't have much grounds. They'd just basically gone to the wrong room or was disorganised. But you can dig a little bit further. Why are you disorganised? Are you stressed? Have you been to your doctor at all in the last few weeks? Is there anything that you can sort of draw upon to put into your appeal, basically? Main points to think about when submitting sort of an appeal on the grounds of exceptional factors is it severe? It had a big impact on you. Was it unexpected, unpreventable? Like there was nothing you could do to sort of like stop this from happening? Is it time relevant? It's got to have been timely to when that assessment was due in or that exam was due. And usually it needs to have evidence. So I always say sort of throughout any videos or sort of advising on this type of thing is if you're sick or you think, try and see a doctor, try and get evidence, speak to a tutor, email people, go to the counselling, go and speak to an advisor. Get it noted down somewhere that you was experiencing problems, and quite often these support services can write you a letter to support your appeal. So just to recap there, it needs to be severe, unpreventable, unexpected, time relevant, and it needs to have some evidence to go with it. So quite often with an appeal there is a form to fill in and you need to sort of attach your statement and evidence. You see so many students coming into the advice centre with like a paragraph, I was sick. You know, it needs to go into detail. So some key things, so you need to say exactly what happened and go into detail about this. When did it happen? Exactly what happened? And the impact it had on you. How did it affect your ability to study? So if you were sick, you need to go into sort of like quite specific detail and say, I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. Really go sort of dig deep and go into detail. So how it affected your study, exactly what happened and when it happened, and then your evidence to back it up. And I think if you can tick all those boxes, the evidence is the biggie, to be honest. Without evidence, they would often get refused. and you can quite often, you'd have to check your university policies and procedures. You can sort of submit a second appeal or ask for a review, things like that. Obviously, I would urge anyone needing to do an appeal, because it's so important. You paid so much money for your degree, and to just let it go, you must put an appeal in. Go and seek advice. Hunt down your student advisors, student union, and get help with your appeal. Get someone to read over it and check it for you. So if you are submitting an appeal, good luck. And thanks for watching. Bye.